This problem is a pretty lengthy word problem. There are going to be multiple ways to work this out, so I encourage you to pause the video, work it out your own way, see if you can get the correct answer, and if you can, great. The way you get to the answer isn't super important, so long as you can consistently arrive at a correct answer for these types of problems. I'm going to show you my way of thinking. So first thing I would do when I was presented with a long word problem would be to read the problem at least once to try to figure out what that problem is asking me to do. So a candy company sells cases of chocolate bars. The company has has fixed costs of $30,000, and each case of chocolate bars costs an additional $5 to make. The company sells each case for $10. The graph of the system of linear equations representing this company's cost and revenue for manufacturing and selling X cases of chocolate bars is shown below. Wow. So it gives us a graph, some titles and labels on the graph, and then it says how many cases of chocolate bars will this company need to sell in order for costs and revenues to be equal. So there's quite a bit going on in this problem. The first part of any lengthy word problem is just to understand what it's asking you to do, and then to start pulling out some information that they give you, kind of be like a detective to see if we can't find out how to arrive at the correct answer given the information that they give us. So again, the first part, let's find out what they're asking, because that's going to guide how we're going to work through the problem. So looking through it, we'll notice that's the question is at the end, how many cases of chocolate bars? I'm going to underline that, because that's anytime they ask how many, they're asking for an amount, and they're asking for us how many chocolate bars will the company need to sell in order for costs and revenue to be equal. Great, so we need to know how many chocolate bars it'll take for costs to equal revenue. Now, in case these types of problems are new to you, revenue is the amount of money the company is earning by selling the chocolate bars, and costs are everything that the company has to spend to make the chocolate bars. So let's take a look at it again, and let's go back up and see if we can't find some information. Since we're looking for costs and revenues, I'm going to split the information into two different categories. Let's go and do this on the left-hand side. Costs on this side, and let's do revenue on this side. So the company has a fixed cost of $30,000. Now, a fixed cost means that that cost is only once. They're charged it, that's it. So we know that $30,000 is a cost, but it's fixed. Doesn't ever go up, doesn't ever go down. And each case of chocolate bars costs an additional $5 to make. So each case, $5 to make. So it's $5 per case. All right. The second one, let's see what else it tells us. The company sells each, oh, okay, great. They're selling the case for $10. So $10 per case is how much they earn. The graph is system of linear equations representing this company's costs and revenues for manufacturing and selling X cases of chocolate bars. So X represents the number of cases of chocolate bars as shown below. So I've looked at the problem. I know I'm looking for costs and revenues to be the same. I've read back through the problem and I've made a list for costs and I made a list for revenues so I can keep those straight in my mind. And now I'm looking at the graph and I'm like, well, I think I can actually solve this problem without the graph. To me, even though the graph is kind of interesting, I think I can do this without the graph this time. Sometimes you might need it, sometimes you not. So again, this is just the way I would process through the information initially. So I would say, okay, well, I've got some options, and the easiest way to do this would, for me, to be just to guess and check. So I go back to the question, is how many cases? That means F, G, H, and J represents the number of cases. Okay, so if it was 3,500 cases, let's check that first. Then my cost side, let's get out my calculator here. My cost side for 3,500 cases would be 3,500 cases times $5 per case. Let's find out what that is. Okay, 17,500 plus $30,000 fixed cost, 30,000. So the cost side for 3,500 cases would be, let's go and make a table here. So cases, and let's do cost, and let's do R for revenue. So 3,500 cases is going to cost $47,500. $47,500. All right, let's look at the revenue. I'm making a table just to keep track of my work. And for the revenue, we know we have 3,500 cases. So let's do 3,500 or 3,500 times $10 per case, and we get 35,000. And they're not the same. So costs and revenues are not equal, so we know it's not 3,500. Let's try 6,000. So 6,000 would be 6,000 times 5, because it costs $5 per case, plus $30,000 fixed costs. 30,000, there we go. So for 6,000 cases, it costs $60,000. There's a lot of zeros there. And at $10 per case, 6,000 cases times $10 per case means that we earn 60,000. Oh, wait. Notice the cost is 60,000 and the revenue is equal to 60,000, so G must be the correct answer. 6,000 cases causes our costs and revenue to be the same. So there you go.